The story begins on a school track where an ongoing race is taking place. Several students are running while the girls cheer from the sidelines. A lead runner reaches the finish line, and a teacher announces that Zhu Jiang finished in just 2 minutes, 36 seconds and 79 milliseconds. Jiang pours a bottle of water over himself, which makes the girls squeal. A girl walks up to him and offers a small towel to clean off his sweat. He accepts the item from her and she appears incredibly happy. While drying himself, he checks his system panel and sees he has gained 20 running experience, and his running skill has reached level 3. He mentally notes that the experience gained was a bit more than usual. Then he notices another update. His charm has increased by plus 45. He frowns in disgust as he reflects on how quickly this useless skill levels up. Suddenly, a ball is thrown at him, but he blocks it easily. He looks in the direction the ball came from and realizes someone threw it on purpose, though he has no idea why. His friend walks over and asks what the situation is, so Jiang asks his friend if he knows that guy. The friend Li Ji stiffens the moment he recognizes the attacker. He identifies him as the school tyrant Pei Yaoguang and asks why Jiang had to butt heads with him. Li Ji asks if it is because of a woman again and tells Jiang to just accept one of them to save himself from drawing aggro from the whole world. But Jiang declares he has no interest. Li points out that while Jiang has no interest, the brothers certainly do. He also warns that Yaoguang is not someone to mess with and asks what Jiang plans to do, to which he answers that he will just work out. Li tells him that working out is useless and that he must practice martial arts instead, but Jiang thinks that it might be useless for others, but he is different. 1 month ago, he inexplicably arrived in this world that is specious to Earth. Arriving with him was a translucent panel that ensures effort here actually pays off. Hard work is never wasted. As long as he practices to a certain degree, he can activate corresponding skills. Jiang has met the conditions and activated the level 1 skill aiming. Although daily practice benefits him greatly, the consumption is also huge. When he opens his fridge, he finds it is completely empty. He reminds himself that he is not working this hard just to show off. He lives in a place called the 5th Metropolitan Circle. Since it is a circle, he knows there is an inside and an outside. The farther out a person goes, the more desolate and poor it becomes, while the farther in, the more prosperous and noble it is. There is still half a year until graduation, and he wonders if he will fight to climb into the inner circle or be poor for a lifetime, as it is time to make a choice. He buys groceries, but the total bill comes out to 210. This makes him go pale, and he decides to pass on a few items for now to stay within his budget. He cannot believe that 5 eggs actually cost 30 and mutters that the world has truly gone mad. While walking through a dark alley, something suddenly jumps out before him. It is a stray cat. The cat suddenly faints and falls on the ground, making Jiang wonder if the cat is a professional scammer. However, he soon notices the scars. The cat is covered in injuries as if it recently lost a fight. Then the cat speaks, complaining that it never expected the world of stray cats to be so cruel. He freezes in shock because the cat just spoke and wonders what on earth is going on with this cat. He notices something on its tail. When he touches it, the system detects a divine substance and absorbs the divinity. This planet is named Earth Star, a world known as Zhuzia. 287 years ago, the god of this world died. On that day, all humans on Earth Star witnessed the spectacle with their own eyes. People rejoiced because the gods were dead and humanity finally stood independent. Jiang picks up the cat and starts returning home, and he declares that he will eventually grind his way up until he becomes a god himself. Back at home, he offers some cat food, but the cat flatly refuses to eat it, staring down at the bowl with a look of clear disdain. He feels annoyed by this and expresses his disbelief that a stray cat would not even touch the meal. He then recalls that this cat is capable of speech. He wonders if it could be that it is not a cat at all. Jiang makes his way to the kitchen and begins to prepare a meal. As he works, a notification appears indicating he has gained 20 experience points for his cooking skill, so he chops various vegetables and cooks the ingredients over a high flame. Shortly after, he serves a green pepper and shredded pork rice bowl to the cat. The moment the cat sees the food, it begins to drool. It quickly starts eating while Jiang wears a smug expression, feeling satisfied that his theory was correct. The reason it can speak human language is quite simple, as it is not a cat at all, but a human who turned into a cat. As for the reason, it is probably this thing that is wrapped around its tail. Suddenly, the system alerts him that the divinity absorption is now complete. He views a divine skill called Twin Life that is currently inactive. The screen notes that he has 525 out of the required 500 divinity points for activation, and having met the necessary conditions, the system asks if he wishes to activate the ability. He asks if there is even a need for consideration and selects yes. The interface glows with a brilliant light before notifying him that Twin Life has been successfully activated. He looks at his hand, feeling unsure about the actual function of this new power. He reads that the passive effect of Twin Life grants him 2 lives. After experiencing death, he can choose a time to resurrect within a 7-day window, and the ability has a cooldown period of 3 months. He stares at the panel in shock, realizing this is essentially a set of resurrection armor, and he considers that if the passive trait is already this powerful, the active skill must be incredible. Unfortunately, the active skill remains locked, as it requires 500 divinity points to open, and he currently only possesses 25. Jiang looks over at the cat and wonders if he just needs to keep sucking it out. However, as he looks closer, he notices how severely injured it is. This causes him to hesitate, as continuing to drain its power now would be completely inhumane. He decides he must find another way. Despite this, he cannot simply let the animal go. He plans to head out to search for information regarding divinity while observing how the cat behaves in his absence. He leaves the house. The cat is left alone in the apartment while he monitors it through a camera. Jae reflects on the outer ring where he lives. He knows that for residents of the outer ring to move into the inner ring, the difficulty is extremely high. Even if someone manages to gain entry, they must pay a massive fee that is often enough to bankrupt a small, wealthy family. Regardless of the cost, many people still try to enter. But most people do not know that there is another method. If one can become a martial artist, all their problems will be solved. As Jae walks through a dim alleyway, someone with a metal bat appears in front of him and asks if he is Zhu Jae. Jae remains calm and asks if there is an issue. A bald man turns to a blonde companion and asks if this is the target that their big brother, Pei Yaoguang, has his eyes on, threatening him by declaring that he is dead meat today. Jae lets out a tired sigh. In the blink of an eye, he sends the bald man flying into the air. The group stands frozen because they did not even see him move. The blonde individual is the next one to be struck. Afterward, a third man is hit directly in his forehead. Jae has not even stepped forward. He is simply throwing small pebbles. He uses these stones in combination with his aiming skill. The men groan in agony as one of them walks toward RMC. It is none other than Pei Yaoguang who lunges at him, saying it is not enough. Jae's eyes begin to glow as his ability activates. When Yaoguang swings a punch, Jae evades it easily and the blow shatters the wall behind him. Seeing this, he realizes that it is martial arts. Yaoguang grows irritated that the boy is pretty agile, but Jae feels a sense of relief, thinking that if Pei Yaoguang already knows martial arts, it saves him the trouble of searching for an instructor to ask. He steps forward and orders him to explain everything he knows about martial arts, otherwise he will not show any mercy. Yaoguang is slammed onto the ground. He trembles as he promises he will submit everything he knows. Jae grins and realizes he thought this guy was tough, but it turns out he only has one move. Yaoguang keeps throwing punches, and Jae quickly realizes that after all this time, that really is his only move. Still, thanks to him, Jae meets the conditions and activates the fighting skill. Aiming did not just sharpen his dynamic vision, it also improved the accuracy of his punches, and he reflects that dealing with a martial artist at Yaoguang's level is more than enough. Now Yaoguang is begging him to stop hitting him. Jae asks what kind of move that punch was. Yaoguang nervously explains that it was not a specific move at all, but inner force, which he describes as the act of gathering energy from all parts of the body and then expelling it externally through a move. Jae asks how a person trains it and from whom he learned it, but Yaoguang admits that he has only learned the basics and cannot explain it clearly. Jae grabs his collar and calls him pathetic. He mentions that he heard rumors about Yaoguang, specifically that he smokes, drinks, perms his hair, commits arson, murders, and even breakdances, and wonders how someone that ruthless could submit so easily. Yaoguang hurriedly explains that those were all rumors used to establish a persona and points out that if they were true, there is no way he would still be allowed in school. Jae slaps him and warns that if Yaoguang forgets the lesson he was given today, he will beat him every time they meet in the future. He adds that since Yaoguang likes bullying classmates, he must write a self-criticism once he returns home and orders him to recite it 10 times in front of the whole class during morning reading tomorrow. Jae demands that one of his lackeys record a video so he can check it later, and Yaoguang sits with a swollen face as tears drip down, swearing he will listen to everything Jae says. When Jae moves again, Yaoguang thinks another beating is coming and screams for him not to hit him anymore. However, Jae takes out his phone and asks for the dojo address. Since Yaoguang cannot explain properly, he will go there himself to ask. That night in the city's inner ring, Jae follows a map exactly, which tells him to turn right in 120 meters. A series of notifications appear as the system informs him that he experienced a battle, granting him 109 fitness points and 50 aiming experience, and he feels refreshed, earning 33 health preservation experience. He also meets the conditions to unlock the fighting skill, gaining 68 points of battle experience, and his status window updates to show fitness at level 2. Health preservation at level 1, cooking at level 2, running at level 3, charm at level 2, aiming at level 1, and fighting unlocked at level 1 with 68 over 300 points. Normally, working hard at the gym for an hour only raises fitness by about 200 points, but this single fight against a weak opponent gave him far more than regular exercise and even unlocked a new ability. He realizes that if he wants to grow quickly, he will need to pick fights more often in the future. Soon, he arrives at the Golden Wind Dojo. He steps inside and announces he is there to visit, but a staff member immediately shushes him because the master is currently teaching a class. Jae turns to look at the instruction. The master explains to 5 students that the breathing method is the basic foundation of activating force within the body, and only when the qi is fully circulating can a person be considered initiated into martial arts, as the master tells them to do it with him. Jae's eyes light up as he realizes this introductory cultivation method is exactly what he wanted. He leans closer and whispers to the staff member, asking if he can join in. She blushes when he gets close, thinking that he is handsome, and she tells him he can join but warns him not to force himself. He thanks her and walks over to an empty cushion. The staff member watches nervously as she wonders if he can handle it, since this kid is likely encountering martial arts for the first time. The master instructs everyone to tighten their core, keep inhaling until they cannot anymore, and then hold it. The girl silently hopes at least a few usable students remain, otherwise she will be fired by the master. When the master counts to 37, several students have already given up while others have faces that are twisting as they struggle to hold on. The girl feels disappointed when even Kui Zhengyuan, the student she had the most hope for, fails. The master's expression darkens as he walks toward her, and she hurriedly begs him for a few more days, promising she will find a suitable talent, but to her shock, he walks straight past her. He tells her not to speak because there is still a child holding on and stops in front of Jiang. Only then does Jiang realize the truth. The breathing method sounds simple but is actually quite difficult, and as massive amounts of oxygen surge into his lungs, he reflects that people with insufficient lung capacity would not even qualify to practice. Inside his body, he feels the true qi constantly expanding like it is going to explode, but time is finally up and Jiang slowly exhales. The system notifies him that he has activated the skill inner force, which now stands at 69/200. When he opens his eyes, the master and the girl are around him, asking how he feels and if there is any discomfort. He answers that no, on the contrary, he has a refreshing feeling. The girl asks for his name and if he wants to join the Golden Wind Dojo. Suddenly, a glass window shatters as something bursts inside. It is a large insect monster that instantly devours one of the students. Everyone freezes in horror at the sight. The master reacts fast, opening the doors and shouting for everyone to leave quickly, and he tells manager Zhang to maintain order. The monster turns its attention to her and tries to attack her, but Jiang saves her. They crash to the ground together. While pinned beneath him, manager Zhang strangely feels a sense of relief and thinks she wants to be pinned down by him forever as his charm increases by 20 points. In that moment, he remembers what Yao Guang said about inner force gathering energy to expel it through a move. He decides this is the perfect opportunity to experiment. The massive beetle-like creature lunges directly at Jiang. He delivers a punch to its head, an impact that generates a powerful gust of wind. Jiang wonders if this creature is similar to a cockroach, capable of enduring 300 times its own body weight. He concludes that if that is the case, he must focus all his power into a single point, and Jiang adjusts his technique immediately. His strike shatters the monster's external shell, and a system notification appears, stating that he has activated the inch force skill, which is now at 80/200. The creature is thrown backward while hissing loudly, its green blood spraying across the room. At that moment, Jiang realizes the truth. The creature looks intimidating but is actually much weaker than it appears. Jiang stares at him in total shock. However, the master looks concerned, realizing that Jiang has only just learned to use qi force, yet he has released a massive amount all at once, meaning his body will not be able to handle such intense strain. The monster recovers and lets out another angry hiss. Jiang observes that it still intends to fight and calmly declares that the result will be the same no matter how many times it tries. Qi flows through his meridians and gathers in his arm, but he feels a sharp pain and coughs up blood. He realizes something is wrong. As the monster lunges again, he realizes he overdid it this time, but before the monster can attack him, someone else attacks, and in an instant, the monster's body is sliced in half. Jiang stands frozen, wondering what is going on. A woman steps forward and identifies herself as the captain of Squad 838 from the White Raven Squad, known as Void Blade. Her unit takes control of the room and commands all unrelated individuals to leave at once. Jiang reflects that this is his first time hearing of the White Raven Squad, and that to be able to defeat that cockroach man in one strike means the members of this group are incredibly powerful. Void Blade looks at Jiang and makes a quick assessment, realizing he appears to be only 17 or 18, yet he managed to severely wound the monster using just his bare hands. Additionally, she finds him very handsome and considers finding a reason to recruit him. She approaches him and hands him a slip of paper. She tells him to go to the address on the note this Sunday at 5 o'clock and promises to provide the information he desires. Jiang takes the paper, which lists King Cheng Library. Outside, Jiang rushes to his side and asks if he is uninjured. She fusses over him and suggests taking him to her home, but when she realizes what she said, she corrects herself and suggests the hospital for a checkup instead. Jiang assures her that he is fine, expresses his gratitude for letting him visit the dojo and leaves. Jiang calls out, telling him he must return tomorrow, but the master silently shakes his head. He reflects that it is unlikely for a student to have such strength after their first contact with qi force, and that a small dojo like his cannot contain someone like him. As Jiang walks away, the system provides several updates as he earns 229 fitness experience and 89 health preservation experience, and 50 points of charm. He also receives 98 fighting experience, bringing that skill to 166/300, and he has met the condition to activate Inch Force. Inch Force is simply gathering qi into one point and accelerating it to top speed over the shortest possible distance, and using this correctly can break even the strongest defense. He decides to feel the power one more time and attempts to use it again. Nausea hits him instantly. He remembers the master's earlier warning about overusing his chi and decides not to court death, planning to rest and see how he feels the next day. After seeing the White Raven squad and the monster, he wonders how many secrets are hidden in this world and decides to check the address once the weekend arrives. At his apartment, he notices a light from the window. He checks his phone and sees a recording of what the cat is doing, which reveals it is using his computer. The moment Jang walks in and speaks, the cat jumps in surprise. He asks why it was using his computer. The cat tries to play dumb and meows, which only annoys him. He decides to settle the matter after he gets some sleep. He lies on his bed and the cat thinks that something is wrong with him. It detects the scent of blood on him and wonders if he got into a fight with someone. This thought engages the cat as he is her person, and she wonders who would dare bully him. She leaps onto his stomach and demands to know what happened, identifying herself as Ening Fengna, the leader of the dragon sect, and vows to seek justice for him. He calmly realizes that the cat can truly speak. He mentions that he always knew it was a human, but he is currently too tired to talk and says they will speak after he sleeps, before he immediately falls asleep while Fengna shouts at him in a fury, telling him to explain himself before falling asleep. The next day he finds his health fully recovered. They talk while eating a meal, and Fengna learns that he was not beaten by a person but had actually defeated a monster. He confirms this. She scowls, nodding she has not heard of monsters entering the city area. He reaches out and pats her on the head. He thanks her for worrying about him so much and calls her Nair. Fengna blushes when he uses her name. She tells him he is not allowed to address her as Nair and demands he speak to her respectfully. As a sect leader, she insists he call her Lord Nair, and he agrees to the name. He then brings up the video from last night and asks what she was doing on his device. Fengna's eyes widen in shock, thinking that he still remembers it. She explains that she was looking up information for this item called a cattail ring, which is a type of god relic. He reaches out and touches her tail, causing her to shriek in surprise, while he reflects on the history of this world, noting that 287 years ago a god died, and it is said that the golden specks of light remaining after that event are god relics. He had only heard stories of such things before, but now he is seeing one with his own eyes. This makes him understand how the item is able to absorb divinity. Fengna asks how long he intends to keep pinching her tail, and feeling a bit embarrassed, he pulls his hand away and asks if she is searching for instructions on how to use the device, but she declares that she does not want to use it. Instead, she wants to take it off. She explains that the Dragon Sect is the largest gang in Qingcheng. Not only do they control the operation of entertainment venues, but they also work with martial arts halls to manage drug businesses. Their growth was too rapid and attracted jealousy from others. She was attacked inside her own villa by someone who placed the ring on her, turning her into a cat. By the time she barely managed to escape, the Dragon Sect had already fallen into someone else's possession. She can only return to her human form if the ring is removed, and she wants those people killed. Jang asks what she plans to do next and considers that if the answer cannot be found online, the library is likely a dead end as well. She tells him she already has a plan, which involves him training in martial arts to become strong, though he wonders what that has to do with removing the ring. She explains that once he is strong, various organizations will come knocking at his door. Among them, there might be a god relic holder, and by following those clues to investigate, they can eventually find a way to remove the cattail ring. He grins at the idea of people knocking on his door. Because of this, she plans to introduce him to the best dojo. She asks if he has heard of Hidden Dragon Dojo. He replies, of course. Back when he first wanted to learn martial arts, he checked the fees of every dojo in Qingcheng and recalls that Hidden Dragon Dojo was the most expensive of them all. However, that is not what he remembers most. He recalls the overwhelming number of bad reviews it received. Fengna scoffs and says those people are trash who could not endure hardship, adding that among true martial artists, no one looks down on Hidden Dragon Dojo, so he asks how he can get in, and she says the answer is simple. He must follow the rules of the Jianghu and perform a dojo storming, which makes him stare at her in disbelief as he asks if they will really accept him after he smashes the place up. She looks at him as if he is hopeless and explains that a dojo storming is just an interview. Dojo disciples are divided into ranks. Some pay to enter, but even if they train seriously, it means nothing without talent, while others have talent but lack real strength. If it takes 8 or 10 years just to become capable, she considers that useless too. She explains that on the path of martial arts, mindset matters most, for only someone with an invincible spirit can throw an invincible punch. Dojo storming is a way to recommend oneself and is the best way to prove that spirit. She tells him to go tomorrow while she takes care of some business. The next day, a disciple welcomes Jang at the entrance of Hidden Dragon Dojo. They shake hands, but the man suddenly tightens his grip, so Jang feels the pressure and assumes it is a test. Since it is a test, he decides to take it seriously and squeezes back with full force. The man yelps in pain and whines that his hand is about to break. Other students gather around and burst out laughing as they tell Jang not to take it personally, explaining that the guy is a martial arts fanatic who tries to spar with everyone he meets and loses almost every time. Jang realizes the guy was just a random passerby. At that moment, the old dojo master approaches with several direct disciples, and the students are stunned that the old master has come out along with disciples who rarely show their faces. The master is Li Qi, who sits in a wheelchair with Fengna, while Zhu Shanying pushes the chair. Chen Fuguang stands to his left, Meng Boshing is to his right, and Meng Qingjiao is behind them. Jiang freezes when he sees Fengna is there. Qi says, "Quiet," and the chatter immediately dies down. He looks at Jiang and asks if he has come for a dojo storming. Fengna gives him a quick wink. He replies to Qi saying, "Not bad." Li Qi chuckles, nodding it has been a long time since anyone dared to storm his dojo, and asks Jiang if he believes he is qualified. Jiang answers honestly that he does not really know, for from his perspective, the combat levels here do not seem that high. Qi decides to ask him a few questions, starting with his name and age, to which Jiang answers that he is 17. The questioning continues as he is asked where he lives, what work his parents do if he is an only child, and if he has any siblings. Jiang becomes more nervous as the inquiries start to feel strange, as if it is less like an interview and more like a marriage inquiry. Fengna coughs, and Qi laughs as he tells him not to be anxious, saying it is only natural to ask these things when meeting a future son-in-law. Jiang comes closer to Fengna and whispers, asking what is going on, but she replies that she has no idea either. Zhu speaks up and addresses Li Qi as grandfather, saying that regardless of whether he is qualified, they still have to fight first. She looks at Jiang, calls him little brother, and tells him not to worry because she will go easy on him. He nods, ready for the challenge. The disciples are stunned that their little senior sister is stepping in personally, thinking the kid is finished. Fengna puffs out her cheeks and says they already said it is a marriage interview, so she wonders why he is still competing. Zhu warns the boy to watch out as she launches her attack. Fengna feels worried for him. Zhu Jiang uses his skill to track her movements. She throws a punch, but he dodges it. He immediately seizes her wrist and slams her onto the ground, leaving her feeling dizzy from the impact. Chen Fuguang narrows his eyes and comments that Jiang's dynamic vision and grappling positioning are exceptionally precise, nodding that the boy's style reminds him of how he fought in his younger days. Li Qi laughs happily and praises Fengna for finding such a good seedling for an old man like him. Fengna replies proudly that it was only natural, though she mentally admits that she was sweating with worry for him just moments ago. Jiang turns to the old master and asks if his dojo storming was successful. The system notifies him that he experienced a battle where the weak defeated the strong, and he gains 21 fighting experience, 121 fitness experience, and 89 health preservation experience, as well as 56 meowing experience, 139 sports experience, and 50 points of charm. The dojo master declares that since Jiang defeated Zhu Shanying without any formal martial arts training, he is unquestionably qualified to become a direct disciple. He adds that it is about time for the boy to change how he addresses them. Jiang notices what he means by that and smiles as he greets his master and his new senior brothers and sisters, while Chen Fuguang welcomes him as their 7th junior. Zhu, still on the floor, looks embarrassed as she introduces herself as his 6th senior sister, admitting she underestimated him, but warning him not to get arrogant just because he won a single time. Jiang learns that she was the youngest direct disciple before his arrival. He thanks her for the guidance, and she responds with a HMPH. A staff member walks over and addresses him as young Master Zhu, offering to guide him through the registration procedures, which confuses Jiang as he asks why he is being called that. Li Qi explains that a direct disciple should never be looked down upon by others, and that from this day forward, Jiang is nominally an inner ring resident, so calling him young master is only proper. Jiang asks if they can change the title because young Master Zhu is kind of awkward. The woman suggests calling him Master Jiang instead. He sighs and agrees to the change, saying it is fine as long as they are happy. In the lounge, he sits on a sofa while Fengna rests comfortably on his lap, and he tells her that the dojo storming was not as difficult as she made it sound, nodding that Zhu went down in a single move. Fengna shakes her head and tells him he is wrong, claiming the girl is actually much stronger than him, and explaining that martial arts is not about comparing numbers alone, as mood, condition, intelligence, decision-making, and even luck can decide victory or defeat. He asks if Fengna is saying that his opponent simply underestimated him. She agrees, stating that if the girl had been even a little cautious and waited for him to act first, the outcome would have been very different. He admits that luck played a big role and realizes he needs much more practice. He then asks where she went the previous night, wondering if she stayed at the dojo. She replies that to squeeze him into the dojo, she had to go say hello to Grandpa Li, making him ask why she addresses him that way. She casually explains that Grandpa Li almost cuckolded her grandfather back in the day, and Jiang freezes at the thought that the man was essentially a male mistress. A staff member soon hands him an identity authentication card and tells him that starting tomorrow he can enter by swiping it at the access control. He thanks her, and the system notifies him that he gained 20 charm. The next day, word spreads among the students that the new kid trained through the entire night. They are shocked by how strong he appears as the system shows he gained 234 fitness experience, 133 health preservation experience, and 79 sports experience, as well as 89 inner force experience. His inner force upgrades to level 2, and he also receives a large amount of favorability, increasing his charm by 35. Li Qi trains him without mercy, forcing him into a squat while telling him to hold on a little longer, as his inner force experience increases by 99. Qi urges him to keep going, telling him not to waste the effort he put in all night, and the system notifications continue to show 99-point increases for inner force. Finally, the system congratulates him as his inner force upgrades to level 3. The moment the training ends, he collapses to the ground and lands hard on his butt. Li Qi sighs in amazement, declaring that among all the disciples he has accepted in his lifetime, Jiang is the strongest. He says that before long, the boy will be able to cultivate the hidden dragon sex cultivation method, while Jiang lies on the floor, breathing heavily. But he forces himself upright to ask what level he needs to reach to learn it, making Qi stare at him as he realizes the kid is a true martial arts fanatic. The master tells him to hold out his hand. Jiang assumes they are about to spar again, but Qi instead releases a powerful aura as his eyes turn red. Jiang feels a massive surge of true Qi pour into his body. He notes that he has no idea what it is doing and has no way to resist the sensation. Li Qi asks what kind of sports he usually does, and Jiang replies that he mostly just runs and does not do much else. He nervously asks if there is something wrong with his body. Qi shakes his head and says there is nothing wrong at all. He tells him that his body is like it was molded by a god with OCD, with every muscle, bone, and organ balanced and intact to a frightening degree. Simply put, he is a martial arts prodigy. Jiang knows the truth is due to the system panel, as his body transformed into this state after activating the fighting skill, and he realizes that, in a way, he really does count as a genius. He asks again if he can start learning the cultivation method, which makes a surprised Qi ask why he is in such a rush. He points out that Jiang trained all night and his body is covered in injuries, meaning cultivating now would be no different from seeking death. Jiang asks what he should do instead. Li Qi tells the boy to head to the lounge instead and promises to send someone over with sleeping dragon ointment shortly. That night, someone knocks on Jiang's door. It is Zhu Shanying who says she has come to treat his injuries. He freezes as he wonders why it is her and whether she is there to take revenge. Shanying tells Jiang to remove his shirt and he removes it. When she sees his upper body, her eyes light up slightly as she observes that he is more built than she expected, and Jiang feels a sense of flattery from her reaction. The system notifies him that he has gained 45 charm points. She tells him to lie down and orders him to be a good boy and lie there. She begins to apply the sleeping dragon ointment to his skin. Jiang tells her to wait, as he is genuinely unsure of what she is trying to do, and the way she moves makes it feel like she is deliberately teasing him. She leans in close while spreading the medicine across his chest and mentions that she is actually quite competitive. He notes that her hand is actually quite strong, while on top of him she asks why he is remaining silent. Jiang replies calmly that it is fine as long as she is happy. After a moment she admits that losing to him was due to her own carelessness, but she still felt a desire for revenge and decided to tease him in return. The system records another 45-point increase in charm. She hopes he will not be angry. He explains that he is not angry but simply in some pain, telling senior sister she can continue because she does not have to worry about him. She becomes happy and notes that the upper body is finished, then suggests he should remove his pants next. When she reaches for them, Jiang quickly grabs her hand and declares he will do it himself. She giggles and admits she was only messing with him, finding his panic amusing. She hands him the ointment and tells him to handle the rest before she turns and leaves the room. Several notifications appear informing him that he has performed a session of hibernating dragon technique stance training and earned 98 fitness experience. Later, he walks down the street while his entire body aches, muttering that the experience was terrifying and felt as if he were being dismantled by that woman. The system notifies him of a level up, bringing fighting to level 3 and inner force to level 4. Jiang beams with satisfaction at the sight, and with no other plans, he decides to head to the library for his appointment. As he walks, he mutters that the name White Raven Squad sounds extremely Chunabu, but in reality, it is just the special police organization for Qingcheng. He still cannot understand why they chose to meet at the Qingcheng library. Jing arrives on the 7th floor and finds it completely empty, and for a moment, he wonders if he is being pranked until someone greets him. He turns to see a blonde-haired girl who introduces herself as Wu Yuking, explaining the specific characters used for her name, as he asks for the location of Void Blade and why the library was chosen. She explains that she is an informant for Void Blade and that they could not use the special police station for a private meeting. She admits she was skeptical of him at first, but approves of him after seeing him in person. She tells him to join their group. He asks why he should join. She states that she knows he is interested in god relics. Jiang freezes and she realizes his reaction confirms her suspicion. She smiles and asks how he learned about the concept of god relics. He refuses to comment and starts wondering about her background. She takes out a water bottle. She pours water into a cup and says it does not matter if he is unwilling to speak, as it was her mistake for not providing information first. She then offers him the cup to try. He takes a sip and asks if this isn't just pure water. She then pours the water into the kettle and serves him another cup. She tells him to taste it again, which confuses Jiang because it still looks like ordinary water, but when he drinks it, he realizes the liquid has turned sweet. She explains that 287 years ago, a deity died. When that being perished, points of light known as God's blood scattered and lodged within objects, living beings, and even human fantasies. Noting that anything containing God's blood is called a god relic, and she identifies the item as serial number God 1567, the sweet water kettle. Jing asks if she can let him see it, suspecting she might have added sugar to the kettle beforehand. She hands the kettle to him, and the system immediately detects a divine substance and begins absorbing divinity. His total divinity reaches 502 out of 500, confirming that he can absorb energy simply by touching these items and that his active skill is now saved. He asks about the kettle's function, wondering if it creates sweetness or boils water from thin air, while his divinity continues to rise as he holds the object. She giggles, thinking he looks cute because he has not seen much of the world. Jang observes that the water volume does not decrease and wonders if it is infinite, while she is impressed that he has a brain. He stops counting the notifications once he realizes he can activate his skill. She smiles and mentions that as an outstanding student, he should understand the implications. He looks at the sweet water kettle and realizes it is a perpetual motion machine that overturns the laws of the universe, wondering if the electricity in the inner ring is related to such objects. She tells him not to overthink it, as the existence of a god relic symbolizes an unreasonableness that man-made objects cannot replicate, and he asks why she decided to tell him all this. She explains it is because 3 days ago he defeated a monster despite having the body of a normal person, showing no timidity against an unknown creature, and hands him a card identifying her as the CEO of Wu's God Relic Containment and Research Company Limited. She says that he has already surpassed most people on a spiritual level. She invites him to join her company, Wu's God Relic Containment Company. Jang becomes genuinely sincere and asks to join her team. He promises to obey every command, believing a God Relic Containment Company is a God-tier workplace that he must enter. The God Relic Containment Company sounds like an environment where he will be surrounded by many God relics every day, and the thought makes him feel a sense of excitement because he is going to be rich. Since the only source of divinity comes from God relics, he considers that the passive skill Twin Life is already broken and wonders if the active skill will be even more unreasonable. He thinks that if it is, no one in the world will be able to beat him, causing him to laugh out loud while Yuking observes that he is deep in his own little fantasy. She takes a document out from her bag and hands the contract to him, telling him to look it over and sign if there are no issues. Jing reads through the document and notices it resembles a standard labor contract, except for a specific confidentiality agreement. He reads a clause stating that the work involves a dangerous special field related to God relics, which includes serious risks, noting that if he suffers disability or death, the company will pay his family $5 million, though no compensation is provided if the accident is caused by his own intentional actions or gross negligence. Yuking explains that God relics are divided into 4 grades. D grade is a harmless level, C grade is a danger level, B grade is a high danger level, and a grade is the highest danger level. She tells him that if he shows enough growth in the future, he will be involved in truly dangerous work, but when Jang asks about a grade relics, she stops him and says he does not need to consider that situation yet, because such relics require official government intervention. He asks his last question regarding why she chose him, reflecting that even if he contacted a god relic before, it does not mean he is qualified, and he wonders why she would invite him based on a one-sided word from Void Blade when she does not know about his panel or martial arts practice. Yuking points out that he is wrong about one thing. She says it is not that he contacted a god relic, but rather that the god relic contacted him. He asks what she means. She explains that god relics possess a certain degree of will, and they will actively approach people who attract them. She reveals that among humanity, there is a type of person who can actively attract them, noting that she is one of them and that he happens to possess the same constitution as her, so to prove her sincerity, she offers him a high salary. He reads that he will receive a monthly salary of $200,000 along with a 25% project share and 1% stackable equity after successfully containing a god relic, realizing his own value and why they were in a rush to pull him in. He tells her the salary does not really matter as he mainly just likes god relics. He signs the contract and hands it back, telling her to look after him in the future. She smiles and says she is happy with the cooperation. He announces that he will be going now, and as she says goodbye, he realizes that between the Hidden Dragon Dojo and collecting relics, his schedule will be very busy, making him worry that he will not have time for school. He sends a message to Li Ji asking him to tell the teacher he is sick and bedridden, to which Li Ji replies that he can leave it to him, while Jang reflects that with a monthly salary of $200,000, he could not earn that much even 10 years after graduating. He decides his urgent task is to improve his strength, as becoming stronger is the only hope of going back. While walking through the outer ring, he decides to see what the active skill is all about and checks the system. He sees that the divinity required to upgrade Twin Life is 502 out of 100, and notices the active skill is no longer locked since he met the requirement of 502 out of 500. The system asks if he wants to activate the Twin Life active ability, and he chooses yes. He sees that for every level, he can designate one ability related to his physical body to produce a double effect. The options include memory, physical defense, physical strength, reaction speed, movement speed, calculation ability, and concentration, and he considers that if he chose physical strength, he would possess double strength. He reflects that he already has resurrection armor, so doubling physical defense seems meaningless, and he thinks that since his main method of attack is aiming, he does not rely on strength. He recalls a saying that in martial arts, speed defines the winner, so he chooses movement speed because he wants to try and see how strong the skill is. He identifies a street lamp about 100 meters away and decides to run once to see how long it takes. He runs the distance, and the timer shows 10.24 seconds. He thinks it is not bad. He decides that if he activates the skill and runs back, he should be faster. He activates Twin Life and starts running. He moves so quickly that he appears as a streak of light. The timer shows 5.12 seconds. He realizes it is exactly twice as fast and reflects that this Twin Life has real substance. He thinks that for a person to improve a 100-meter sprint from 20 seconds to 12 seconds is simple, as you just need to persist with high-intensity training for a period of time. But every 0.1 second improvement after that requires much more effort, noting that without enough talent and resources, it is impossible to achieve. Hypothetically, if he is in a thrilling hand-to-hand combat where a mistake is not allowed, and he activates his skill, absolutely no one could predict this kind of acceleration that defies logic and intuition, which makes this a guaranteed kill. He concludes that Twin Life is a divine skill that transcends rules, ignoring physical laws and limits. While his body is still warm, he decides to try it a few more times. Suddenly, he shouts, asking why it already has a cooldown. He calculates that only about 20 seconds have passed since he activated the ability and realizes he will have to use it sparingly in the future, since he does not know when it will recover, so he decides to go home first. After training for a whole day, his whole body aches, and he plans to take a bath and have a beautiful sleep once he gets home. He reminds himself that he still has to go to the dojo tomorrow as his vision fades to black. The next day, he finds himself lying in the hallway. His phone wakes him up at 06:33, and he realizes he slept for 6 hours and wonders why he is sleeping in the hallway. He checks if Twin Life has recovered and sees it is almost done, calculating that every 1 second of use requires 1,000 seconds to recover the cooldown, meaning if he uses it all up, it requires 6 hours to recover. Just then, a message arrives on his phone at 06:35 from Zhu Shanying, who asks why he has not come to train yet. He realizes he is going to be late and rushes off. He arrives at the Hidden Dragon Dojo and bursts through the door. Shanying is helping a student stretch when she sees him. She announces that he arrived at the right time. She grabs his hand and pulls him to the center, saying they will spar to show the correct usage of Jin Force to others. The other disciples whisper among themselves, wondering who will win. One man is certain Shanying will win because she was only careless last time, thinking that since Jiang just started learning, there is no way he can win, while another student hopes she goes easy on him. Jiang realizes she is trying to win back the face she lost last time and that she will not be as careless. But he thinks it does not matter since it is a good time to test the ability, so he asks her to instruct him and activates Twin Life Level 1. Shanying gets close to him and tries to land a palm strike on him, but he vanishes from her sight in an instant. A second later, he grabs her arm and hurls her onto the floor. The force of the impact leaves Shanying feeling dizzy, as she wonders why she still lost even though she clearly used her full strength. He calmly declares that she allowed him to win, and the system notifies him that he has experienced a battle, granting him 97 fighting experience. He also earns 81 fitness experience, 49 health preservation experience, and his aiming experience increases by 26, while his sports experience increases by 69, causing it to upgrade to level 2 with 9 out of 500 points. Only then does he realize a significant change, noting that this is no longer considered a victory of the weak over the strong, and reflecting that after activating the speed from Twin Life, the panel no longer judges him as being weaker than Shanying. He considers that she possessed rich combat experience and was fully on guard, yet she still could not react in time, making him realize how unimaginably powerful his ability has become, as he decides that his future practice must focus on how to make good use of the speed contrast. Moments later, Chen Fuguang waves at him and asks if he wants to practice the hibernating dragon technique together. Jiang accepts the invitation from his 5th senior brother. Later, Fuguang is in a state of complete disbelief, as he admits that he thought the rumors of Jiang practicing the hibernating dragon technique for a single night were just boasting. But now he can clearly see the results, shouting that Jiang has almost cultivated dragon chi, and noting that when he first practiced the technique, he could only last for half an hour, which makes the current situation feel ridiculous as Jiang asks what dragon chi is. Fuguang explains that in the martial arts world, there is a legendary ultimate physical state known as a treasure body, which he describes as the process of training one's own physical body into a treasure. In this state, the body can reach 5 types of perfection. The first is muscles housing dragons and elephants, which refers to muscles so powerful they seem to house water dragons. The second is iron tree coiling tendons, where one's tendons are like the roots of an iron tree. The third is skin blooming glazed glass, meaning the whole body's blood flows as flawlessly and leak-proof as glazed glass, while the fourth is indestructible jade bones, which involves refining bones into immortal, unmelting jade bones that are indestructible. The fifth is blood-dripping molten gold, where the blood boils like volcanic magma when chi force is used. Fuguang laughs and says that this is merely a myth because no one can actually do it. Deep down, Jiang feels that things which are impossible for others are not necessarily impossible for him, a thought that sparks a desire in him to try and become a martial arts myth. Suddenly, a figure bursts through the window. Guang is completely spooked as glass shards scatter everywhere. He quickly introduces the man to Jiang, identifying him as the Hidden Dragon Dojo's most powerful eldest senior brother, Meng Bashing. The system informs him that the man has several quirks. He does not like to talk, he is a muscle maniac, he is afraid of trouble, he believes force is supreme, he is a wife-protecting maniac, he doesn't like using the front door and he likes breaking through windows to enter. Jiang's eyes widen as he looks from the window, realizing that the man jumped from the ground all the way to the highest floor, wondering how much strength such a feat requires. Guang asks his eldest senior brother if he was looking for him. The man merely waves his hand and Guang instantly understands. He tells Jiang that he has some matters to handle and will be leaving first. Before he goes, he reminds Jiang that the essence of the hibernating dragon technique is force delivery and shaping. They then depart by jumping straight out of the window as Jiang thinks about the advice. Only then does Jiang realize that he has been focusing only on increasing the quantity of qi and has never considered shaping. So with this new idea, he begins trying to combine the technique with his aiming ability. 3 hours later, he takes a deep breath. He continues meditating until his veins bulge from the effort. He then flicks his finger and the force explodes outward with a shockwave. Jiang reflects that this is much more impressive than his previous attempts with roadside pebbles. Someone begins clapping slowly as they arrive. It is his master Li Qi who declares that he did not expect that besides Jiang's extremely outstanding physical talent, he also possesses such great talent in internal force. He hands him a pill and tells him to eat it. Jiang accepts the pill and eats it without hesitation. The master then tells him to look at him and release energy. Jiang feels dizzy. He wonders what is happening and what the master has done to him. The pill begins to glow and transforms into a massive golden dragon. He feels a sense of alarm as the creature slowly opens its eyes, while golden light reflects in his own eyes, and he observes that golden scales are beginning to form on his right arm. Jiang experiences a sharp headache, feeling as though the qi within his body is scurrying in every direction. He wonders if this sensation is a direct result of the pill he consumed earlier. He takes a deep breath, attempting to calm the qi before it goes out of control as he activates the hibernating dragon technique and holds his breath. Deep within his consciousness, a wonderful feeling begins to surface, and at the same moment, all of his distracting thoughts seem to disappear. A massive dragon appears directly in front of him, but he focuses entirely on his cultivation, and the dragon's body slowly wraps itself around him until a golden light floods his entire vision as he fuses with the dragon. His body transforms, becoming covered in golden scales, and his eyes change to resemble those of a dragon. He has met the conditions to activate the skill visualization, which currently stands at 0 out of 300. Eventually, Jiang opens his eyes and finds himself back in his physical body, where the master explains that if he had not returned to reality in time, his qi would have been completely exhausted. The master declares that it is incredible for Jiang to have cultivated dragon qi on his very first attempt and is genuinely impressed by the feat, while Jiang asks what dragon qi actually is. The master explains that dragon qi is essentially a type of emotion. He notes that when a person is angry, they can strike with extra force, or when fighting for survival, they feel filled with endless energy. He clarifies that in the hidden dragon style, stimulating emotions is referred to as the qi of motion, while controlling those emotions is called the qi of stillness. He tells the boy that if he can combine motion and stillness, he will be successful in every endeavor. Jiang asks how he should train this ability. The master smiles and notes that he has already grasped the essence, but he instructs Jiang to think about it on his own first. Jiang wonders if the master is referring to a state of being free from distractions. He attempts to reach that state, and suddenly finds himself able to recall everything he has ever seen or learned in his past life, even remembering a specific math problem from his college entrance exam. He reflects that he had not studied since that time, yet the problem now feels unbelievably simple to solve. As other pieces of knowledge surface, Jiang opens his eyes and says that he has become significantly smarter, though the master notes that this is only a small part of the skill's power. Jiang notices that ordinary things can no longer shake his emotions, and at the same time, his imagination has grown much stronger. He finds that he can quickly imagine the appearance of a giant dragon in his mind, with even a single mane hair or golden scale appearing extremely clear. He realizes that this must be the true essence of visualization. The master points out that talking is useless and that he will only get the true feeling by practicing, so he then calls for Meng Qingjiao to come and spar with him. The girl finishes her snacks with her face still covered in crumbs. The master explains that Qingjiao possesses the most outstanding motion control among all the disciples, and even her brother Bashing cannot compare to her. Jiang wonders who is stronger between her and his sixth senior sister. Qingjiao steps into a combat stance. Jiang launches an attack, but before he can act, he is struck by her and cannot believe what just happened. The master laughs, pointing out that his intentions were far too obvious. Jiang notes that she is even stronger than him. He charges at her again, fully determined to win this time. No matter what he tries, he continues to be hit, reflecting that in martial arts the methods do not matter. The one standing is the winner and the one lying down is the loser. King Jiao delivers a hard kick that blasts him away, causing blood to drip from his mouth. Despite the injury, he declares that they should continue. They keep fighting as the sun dips toward the horizon. Finally, Jiang manages to evade her punch and lands a blow directly on her chest. The impact sends her forward, and Jiang feels stunned by the strange sensation left on his hand. The master quickly catches King Jiao to stop her from hitting the wall. He announces that they should stop here for today, noting that King Jiao is clearly hungry and continuing to compete would not be effective, so he tells her to go rest first. Jiang asks why his fourth senior sister never speaks, and the master explains that something happened to her when she was young. Though he says the story cannot be finished quickly and he will explain it in detail another time, while the master then asks how he feels and if the training was effective. Jing answers honestly that he is tired as he checks his system panel and notes his progress. His fitness is at level 5, his health preservation is at level 3, and his running has reached level 5. He tells the master that he has never been this tired since birth, but he has also never been this happy. He observes that his charm has reached level 4, aiming is at level 3, fighting is at level 3, sports is at level 4, and visualization is at level 1. He reflects that King Jiao is incredibly fierce and realizes that sparring with her for over 4 hours has boosted his experience by a massive amount, so he decides he will have to cling to her in the future. Afterward, he returns home. He brings some fried chicken for Nair, but she is not there. He realizes it is quite late and wonders where she could have gone. Just then, he hears a noise and realizes there is someone in the bathroom. Jiang feels puzzled as he observes only one pair of shoes at the entrance, meaning she did not bring any guests back with her. He wonders if she is currently inside. A dark thought crosses his mind as he considers if someone has potentially locked her in the bathroom, remembering her mentioning she has enemies, which makes him feel anxious for her safety. He rushes toward the bathroom door and bursts in, only to find her calmly taking a bath. She panics at his sudden entrance and begins to splash water everywhere. He quickly stops her and declares that if they keep wasting time, the fried chicken he brought will get cold. Her eyes instantly light up at the mention of fried chicken. In the end, they decide to bathe together, so she sits on his lap while he helps scrub her fur. Between the prospect of fried chicken and his help in the bath, her mind feels completely scattered. The system detects a surge of favorability toward Jiang, and he gains 89 points of charm. Suddenly, the cattail ring begins to glow. She places a paw on his chest, and Jiang squints as the light grows brighter. Slowly, he opens his eyes and realizes the paw has turned into a human hand. He freezes as he sees that Ening Fengna has transformed into a human. She still possesses cat ears and a tail, but the rest of her is clearly a woman. She panics, jumping up and yelling at him not to look. Her tail wraps around his eyes to block his vision while he tells her to calm down since he does not see anything, and she asks if he is telling the truth. He declares he is not lying and tells her to get up first so they can speak properly, but as he moves, suddenly she feels a strange jolt run through her body. He wonders what is wrong, but she quickly claims it is nothing. Blushing, she wonders why she suddenly turned back to human at a time like this, as Jiang guesses that they might have unintentionally triggered the transformation condition of the god relic. This catches her attention. She realizes that just moments ago, she generated a tiny bit of feeling toward him, wondering if a small spark of that feeling combined with fried chicken was enough to turn her human. She reflects that the trigger condition sounds completely ridiculous, also noticing her cat ears, sharp teeth, and tail remain, which makes her feel more embarrassed as he asks what type of junk that damn god left behind. She warns Jiang not to get any weird ideas, declaring that this was clearly an accident. She stops mid-sentence as she feels something touching her and notices a reaction in his body. Jiang explains that it is an involuntary reaction he cannot control, and he warns her that if she does not move away soon, what he cannot control won't just be it anymore. She says she will move her tail away but demands he keep his eyes closed, and he agrees to her request. As she carefully backs up, she slips and falls. The sudden movement brings them too close and their sensitive areas touch. Her face turns as red as a tomato from the overwhelming sensation. Jiang clenches his teeth, holding on to every bit of self-control he has, and he tells her to move slowly because if she keeps struggling like that, it will be extremely hard for him to endure. She cries out that she did not do it on purpose, but he tells her to hurry and get out while he can still hold back. Otherwise, she might not be able to leave, which completely scares her, and she dashes toward the door, slamming it shut behind her. Jiang finally relaxes and only then opens his eyes. An hour later, he steps out of the shower and sees that she has already turned back into a cat. She does not understand why it happened, but after calming down, she simply reverted on her own. Now she cannot turn back into a human no matter what she tries, and the situation baffles her. He sits beside her and reaches out to pet her, but she runs away. He understands her reaction after what just happened. He tells her he recently met someone knowledgeable about god relics and says he will go ask about her specific situation tomorrow. Hearing this, she wonders if she can change back to human again. She begins imagining herself transformed and torturing him, which makes her laugh evilly. The next day, as Jiang wakes up, his health preservation increases by 38 and upgrades to level 3, while Nair is curled up beside him, and seeing her sleep so peacefully makes him smile. He gets up when his phone vibrates. It is a message from Wu Yuking, who tells him to come quickly because there is work to do. He feels relieved that work has finally arrived. Jiang searches the Qingcheng library to meet Wu Yuqing. He reflects that she told him to arrive quickly, yet she does not seem to be present. He observes that there is no one else in the building except for a girl wearing glasses. Suddenly, he realizes that the girl wearing glasses is actually Yuqing, noting that her appearance seems slightly different. She then removes her glasses. She remarks that his consciousness intensity is quite high, and she did not expect him to discover her so quickly. But he keeps looking at her, and he is so focused on her that he does not even hear what she says. Yuqing clears her throat as she notices his gaze. Jiang feels embarrassed and quickly pretends to look elsewhere. She explains that the glasses are a god relic known as God 1280, the unremarkable glasses, which possess the ability to lower a person's presence and make the wearer nearly unnoticeable. He asks if that is all this god relic can do, and when he touches the item, a system window appears stating, detected divine substance, starting to absorb divinity, current progress 6%. Yuqing declares that there is more to it, explaining that once the glasses are taken off, the suppressed presence of the wearer erupts all at once, so the longer someone wears them, the more dazzling they will appear when removed. He feels a sense of relief, realizing he has not suddenly become a pervert and that it was merely the effect of the relic. He then asks about the job, and she says she wants him to look at a specific document first. She declares that this mission is very special and is a C-rank containment mission, which normally would not be assigned to a newcomer. But there is also this god relic, God 1105, the villainess's crown of glory, which can continuously enhance the primal desires of the wearer. The current wearer is a woman named Lu Huiying, and Yuqing explains that once this woman sees a good-looking man, she cannot help but want to possess him. Jiang realizes the unremarkable glasses were prepared specifically for him to use in this situation. She tells him that his foundation is already excellent and suggests that if he wears the glasses in advance, the moment he removes them, he will completely detonate the desire of Lu Huiying. She claims that at that time, he can easily take the villainess's crown of glory and restore the woman to normal. He feels a sense of disgust as he realizes they want him to act as a honey trap. However, Jiang admits to himself that this job actually suits him quite well. Not only can he suck dry 2 god relics at once, but he can also farm them safely. He considers that the glasses match his look well and imagines wearing them for 10 years before taking them off, wondering if he would then stand atop the heavens. He asks if these glasses belong to her personally, and she says no, explaining she borrowed them from another containment company. Jiang asks if there are other containment companies, and she asks if she did not tell him that already. He thought their company was the only one in the country, being very mysterious and high class, but she tells him he has misunderstood, explaining that while god relic containment companies are special, they are essentially no different from street sweepers, making him remark that her description is too destitute. She explains that there are thousands of known god relics in the world that can appear anywhere at any time, and a single company cannot handle them all. Furthermore, she notes that the job is extremely dangerous and not just anyone is up to the task. Jiang asks if they are in a partnership with other containment companies, and she says not necessarily, explaining that containment work is essentially outsourced to them by the state. She warns him that some companies will do whatever it takes to earn money, so he must be careful if he encounters people from other organizations. Jiang tells her he understands. He then says he wants to test the effect, and she asks what he means by that. He takes off the glasses. Yuqing's heart begins to pound as she blushes, and the system notifies him, someone has developed a favorable impression of you, granting you charm points. He notes that the effect appears to be very good. Later, while on a bus, he reviews the profile for Lu Huiying. He reads that her activity is based in the Southern District, an area filled with bars, discos, host clubs, and KTVs. He reflects that this is a standard underworld big sister range of activities. The profile states that Lu Huiying has already carved out a territory and established the Rose Gang using the physical buffs from the villainess's crown of glory. He reads that she preys on the locals every day, squeezing men dry of their vitality. At the same time, the relic constantly enhances her desire, and the stronger her desire, the greater the bonus to her physical abilities. If no one stops it, the effects will keep stacking. He understands that as long as he takes off the crown, she will return to normal. Upon arriving at the Southern District, the driver announces that passengers should exit from the rear door. As Jiang steps out, a system window notifies him that absorbing divinity is 79% complete. On a busy street in the Southern District, a man is brutally beaten with a wooden bat. The attacker laughs, reflecting that the feeling of doing whatever she wants is simply too great. She claims that she loves doing as she pleases and vows to beat anyone who dares to try and control her. Jiang observes her from the shadows and thinks that the old woman is way too chunabu. He then realizes that she is the target, Lu Huiying. An elderly man nearby tells Lu to take care. She asks who said she was leaving and wonders why she has not seen his 2 sons today, to which the man jokingly asks which one she wants and offers to call them right away. With a sly grin, Lu declares that of course she wants both of them. Jiang remains hidden in a corner and thinks that she is an old hag, deciding he would rather die than try to seduce her. Suddenly, a group of rowdy men appears on the street, and one of them remarks that with Brother Duan Kaiping stepping in, the crazy woman is as good as dead meat. Jiang realizes that the group of men is coming to seek revenge and chooses to hide and watch for a bit first. The leader of the Razor gang, Duan Kaiping, shouts at her and states he heard she has been very arrogant lately. Lu, the Rose gang leader, asks who he is. One of the men she previously beat identifies the newcomer as Duan Kaiping. Lu looks him over and comments that he has a pretty good body, asking if he wants to play with Big Sister. This sets Duan Kaiping off as he demands she return his territory. He throws a punch, but she dodges it easily and slips past his fists. Jiang realizes that this area was originally the territory of the Razor gang, until it was snatched away by the Rose gang. He understands that a feud was formed between the two sides and that this is clearly a gang war. The Razor gang members rush in, mocking her for only knowing how to hide. The Rose gang members jump into the brawl as well until, suddenly, one of them is struck in the head by a brick. Lu freezes when she sees what happened to the boy, Little Bao, while the man she spoke to earlier panics as he sees his son is hurt. This ruins her good time completely. Duan Kaiping smiles and remarks that the stinky woman has finally gotten serious. He declares that he will also bring out some real skill and lands another attack, sending her flying, and she slams into a wall. Instead of being deterred, Lu finds it interesting and wants to exchange moves with him. Jiang realizes that Kaiping is not simple as he flattens his palm into a blade that cuts iron like mud. He notes that while Kaiping far surpasses her in martial prowess, Lu Huiying only gets a small scratch. He realizes Kaiping far surpasses Lu, but she is too tanky and he cannot truly damage her. Eventually, she manages to land a hit with her bat, causing him to cough up blood, while the system notifies Jiang that divinity absorption is 100% complete and he currently has movement speed activated. He thinks that he has finally finished sucking and can now select between physical strength, physical defense, reaction speed, calculation ability, concentration, and memory, reflecting that he chose speed last time, so he pairs it with physical strength now. He wonders how powerful he will be after the upgrade. He picks his target and throws a pebble that flies like a bullet. When it strikes Duan Kaiping's leg, his bone shatters on impact as Jiang realizes the effect is indeed significant and not a small increase at all. Lu looks around, demanding to know who did that and telling them to come out quickly. Kaiping is furious, believing she launched a sneak attack. He decides they are leaving but warns her that they will be back for revenge. She spits out blood and admits those hits actually hurt a bit. Jiang steps out of hiding. She asks if the kid was the one who just did that. He admits it, and she then asks if it was a gun. He replies that it is sort of one, but he declares he will not use it to deal with her. He observes that Lu Huiying has no real fighting method and has clearly never undergone professional training. He decides to try and defeat her head-on without sacrificing his looks, considering that in a worst-case scenario, he can take off his glasses halfway through to control her. She laughs, licking her lips, and says the only place he could deal with her is in bed. Jiang closes his eyes and focuses his energy. The aura he releases startles her as she wonders if the boy is actually very strong. She asks who he is. He answers that she can call him Set. Jiang activates the skill Twin Life. He dashes toward her and delivers a powerful kick to her, slamming her into a wall. Before she can recover, he attacks again and strikes her face directly. He continues the assault with a rapid flurry of punches, each one finding its mark on her face. The final strike is a heavy blow that even destroys the wall behind her. Jiang feels his own hand tremble from the sheer force of the impact. The surrounding crowd begins to whisper amongst themselves, wondering if they are witnessing the filming of a movie. As they look at the collapsed wall, some express concern that Lu Huiying might be crushed underneath the debris, while the observers wonder exactly who this young man is. Lu's hand bursts through the debris and she manages to stand back up, clearly furious with him. The villainess's crown of glory on her head begins to emit an ominous dark aura. She declares that he has truly managed to piss her off. He seems to be enjoying the battle, thinking it is awesome. She charges at him, vowing to smash him into meat paste. She swings her wooden bat, but Jiang easily slips past the attack. He drives his knee into her face, causing blood to spill from her nose, though even after taking the hit, she maintains a creepy smile. She seizes his arm and declares that he will not be able to run away from her now. She suddenly freezes in shock as he calmly moves his hand near her forehead. He activates the skill and delivers a powerful flick to her eye. Lu Huiying drops her bat and clutches her face, screaming that her eyes are in pain. He reflects on the lessons from his master that it does not matter if a move is despicable or malicious, because as long as he wins, any technique is valid. Only the person left standing at the end has the right to speak. He delivers a kick between her thighs, nodding that women have weaknesses down there just as men do. She groans and collapses in agony, and while she is vulnerable and crouched over, Jiang raises his hand high above her head. He brings it down with his full strength onto her, knocking the villainess's crown of glory off of her head. The ground beneath her caves in as she slams face first into the rubble. The crown rolls across the ground. The members of the Rose gang watch the scene unfold, their legs trembling so much they can barely stand. Jiang retrieves the villainess's crown of glory. The system detects a divine substance and immediately begins the process of extracting divinity. He takes a photograph of the relic and reports to Wu Yuking that the containment was successful. He looks down at Lu and hopes that she does not suffocate while lying face down. And regarding her punishment for the evil she committed while wearing the crown, he decides to leave her fate to the local residents she has oppressed. He notices that the speed of his divinity absorption has increased. He is about to check the updates on his screen when a man in a suit calls out to him. He turns to see the newcomer. The man demands that he hand over the item he is holding, declaring that Jang is not qualified to touch such a thing. Jang notes that the absorption progress has reached 71% and reflects that he cannot allow any interruptions at such a critical moment, so he asks what the man intends to do if he says no. The man releases a terrifying aura and asks if Jang is looking for death. As the man glares at him, several system panels appear in the man's vision. The interface estimates a body level of 1.7 to 1.9, a body mutation rate of less than 1%, and detects traces of martial arts cultivation but no obvious specialization. Stating the combat mode is uncalculable with a danger level of 2.1 to 2.5. The man notes that Jang appears to be only 16 or 17 and likely lives in a rural area like the Outer Ring, yet he is surprised that the boy's level has already crossed 2. Despite this, he still considers Jang to be too weak. The man approaches and tells Jang that he will give him one last chance. In response, Jang kicks directly at his crotch, but the man shuts his legs before the kick can even hit the main part and catches it midway. The man curses him as a despicable martial artist who relies on dirty tricks, revealing that he stayed on guard for such a move. However, Jang suddenly turns and flees, yelling back that the man is a pervert since no normal person would guard against such an attack, while the man screams at him to stop running and vows to kill him. He wonders if this person is a containment agent from another company, reflecting that the man's body feels strange, as if it were composed of mechanical parts assembled together. The man runs straight through a wall as if it is nothing and almost manages to catch Jang, but he twists his body and slips free to keep running. The man clicks his tongue in annoyance. Jang realizes he cannot afford to stay entangled with this person any longer as the divinity absorption reaches 81. Suddenly, a punch strikes Jang directly through a wall. He barely blocks the blow with his arm, but the force blasts him through several more walls. He reflects that no matter how far he runs, the man will eventually catch him. The system notifies him that the extraction is complete, and the skill Shadow Flame, which is currently inactive and requires divinity for activation, shows he has 539 out of 500. Having met all conditions, the system asks if he wishes to activate it and he selects yes. The man demands the item once more, promising to only break one of Jang's hands and one of his feet while sparing his dog life. Jang's hand bursts through the debris and catches the man by his mouth. At that moment, the man realizes that Jang is a recipient. Jang wonders about the term recipient and asks if the man is talking about him. The man answers that there is no one else around. He observes the black flame surrounding Jang and the unusual aura he radiates. At that moment, he realizes he is actually facing a recipient. Jang has activated the level 1 skill Shadow Flame, and the panel shows the divinity required for an upgrade. Its effect is to turn shadows into tangible shadow flames, while the divine avatar skill remains locked, requiring 2,000 points of divinity since he currently only possesses 39 points. He observes that the moment the man saw the black flame, he immediately connected him with the term recipient, though Jang does not understand the meaning of the word or what a recipient even is. He sees the man attempting to flee, but he decides he cannot let him escape. He hurls the black flames toward him. The man screams out for him to stay away and runs fast. Jang reflects that he still does not fully comprehend the situation as he simply moves with intent, causing the shadow flame to surge forward. He thinks it feels like an automatic attack system, similar to floating cannons. The man curses loudly as the flames rain down upon him. Jang stares at him coldly. The flames slip into the man's nostrils. He is startled when the man begins to scream in agony as multiple parts of his body begin to crack. He cannot believe what he is watching as the man burns, and the sight causes Jang to vomit. The system notifies him that the weak have defeated the strong, and he is rewarded with 452 points of fighting experience. The notification continues, granting him another 633 fighting experience, while his fitness experience increases by 422 and 558 points. Fitness is upgraded to level 6, his health preservation is upgraded to level 4, and aiming is upgraded to level 4. Fighting is upgraded to level 4 and sports is upgraded to level 5. He inspects the remains. With portions of the clothing burned away, he observes metal underneath. He realizes that the man's entire body was covered in artificial skin and notes its durability is extremely high, as it barely shows any damage despite burning for a long time. He reflects that if he had not destroyed the man from the inside just now, killing him would have been much more difficult. In comparison, although the stone looks hard, it was reduced to its current state after only a short duration, and Jang realizes the damage dealt by the shadow flame seems related to the density of the target. Furthermore, he notices there are no traces of carbonization on the stone's surface, and it feels cold to the touch, leading him to conclude that this shadow flame does not actually possess the properties of fire. Suddenly, the black flame covering his body is extinguished. He understands that since shadow flame is converted from shadows, he realizes that now that the surrounding shadows have decreased, the flame has also become weaker. He quickly understands that the larger the area of shadows around him, the more shadow flame can be converted and the stronger it becomes. The flame disperses completely as the surrounding shadows decrease even more. Jiang finds it interesting that he used the skill in this way without even receiving a prompt, and he also notes that he has no idea how the cooldown is calculated. For now, he decides to ignore the matter, and as for the burned man, he plans to explain the situation to Wu Yuking first. In a facility within the southern district, a man with long hair stares at a large, pulsating lump of flesh. He gently caresses the mass before speaking to Kaiping, asking if Kaiping knows why he has been summoned here. Kaiping has his arm wrapped in bandages and kneeling on the floor, he replies that he knows. He mentions that his master repeatedly warned him not to cause trouble recently, yet he still did so. He is startled when the man in front of him suddenly vanishes. In the next instant, the man is gripping Kaiping by the head. The man appears furious and questions why Kaiping caused trouble even when he knew better. He asks if Kaiping has grown tired of living. He immediately begs his mentor for forgiveness, admitting he was wrong. The man orders him to rise. He then asks if there is any news regarding the two individuals they sent out earlier, and Kaiping replies that it seems they were destroyed. The man asks if the White Raven squad was responsible, and Kaiping reports that supposedly one of them was injured by a youth. This information irritates the man, which causes Kaiping to feel even more terrified. He hurriedly explains that the youth is named Zhu Jiang and claims his background is nothing special, as he is just an ordinary person. The man erupts in anger, demanding to know how an ordinary person could possibly defeat them. He declares that although the test subjects were not perfect, they are still not something that can be defiled by ordinary people. He orders Kaiping to go and capture the boy, vowing that he will personally feed him to the great sky-lodging insect mother. He believes that this way she can give birth to more and better children, and he declares that one day he will obtain this planet. Jiang arrives at the Qingcheng library, reflecting on the chaos he caused during the mission and wondering how Wu Yuking will handle the situation. He decides to stop dwelling on it, thinking that soldiers block enemies and earth blocks water. He considers that, at the very worst, he will simply have to make amends through his future merits. The elevator stops on the 7th floor, and as the doors slide open, he finds Yuking already bowing toward him as she offers a deep apology, admitting that she did not expect the situation to spiral out of control. She confesses that leaving him to face such danger alone was a severe dereliction of duty on her part. He is completely caught off guard by her. Yuking announces that she will upgrade the mission to a C+ rank and provide him with additional compensation, hoping he can accept this gesture. He agrees without hesitation, though he mentally notes that her reaction is entirely different from what he had imagined. As they walk toward a table, she informs him that the identity of the man he killed has been confirmed as Zhu Yingkun. She explains that he was a C-class containment specialist belonging to Su's containment company, adding that she has already contacted them, and they claim the incident was his personal conduct, entirely unrelated to the company. He thinks about the phrase personal conduct. He asks why a man would want the villainess's crown of glory. She places a map on the table and notes that this is where her concern lies as well. She points out that Su's containment company is located in the inner ring, making it impossible for them to send a person all the way to the outer ring for a mission. Though there are no loopholes in their statement, she believes there is another story behind the incident, so she tells Jiang to leave the matter for her to handle and advises him not to get too involved for now. He says he understands. Jiang realizes he almost forgot to give her the villainess's crown of glory, and he also asks if she wants him to return the glasses now as he tries to take them off. She tells him to keep the unremarkable glasses, as he might still need them for his next mission. Compared to their previous discussion, she notes that Zhu Yingkun's autopsy report is very strange, revealing that all the organs in his body vanished without a trace before asking how he did it. Jiang reflects that the shadow flame is far too dangerous, and since he has not figured out the principle behind it, he decides it is better to keep it a secret. He lowers his glasses and tells her with a calm smile that he cannot say. Yuking's face turns bright red and her heart begins to pound. She tells him that if he does not want to say, then he should not, as everyone has secrets. She instructs him to put the glasses back on properly, but he simply stores them away, nodding they are just a divine artifact. Jiang then asks what the object she just gave him is. She explains that it is a containment card, which will make executing future missions much more convenient. He feels a sense of success, wondering if he officially counts as personnel now. She confirms that he does. Yuking snaps her fingers, and a hidden room door opens as she declares that, besides the convenience of official organizations, the data stored in this library will now be completely open to him. She mentions she still has work to handle and tells him to look around by himself. Jiang waves goodbye and tells her to take care. He wonders if he can find clues about the cattail ring inside. He walks through the massive aisles of data, reflecting that the place feels like a world of its own. He observes that all the records are categorized by relic names. He spots God 018, the death goddess's unreasonable favor, which he has never seen before. He taps his card against the panel, but it beeps with a message of insufficient permissions. He tries to view God 069, the Cinderella boy, thinking the far-off number might be accessible, but it is also denied. He checks several more relics, but is repeatedly blocked as Jiang continues to circle the area, until he begins to feel exhausted, realizing that despite her promise of total access, he still needs specific permissions. He decides to keep searching and eventually finds the drawer for God 1391, the cattail ring. He offers a silent prayer and taps his card until a green light flashes, indicating the data is opened. He feels a surge of success. He notes that the relic's danger level is B rank, which is inconsistent with his current C-class status, meaning only the first 2 layers of data are available. He reflects that he previously thought the ring just turned people into harmless kittens, yet it is ranked alongside relics that can destroy streets. He sits at a desk and begins to read. The data explains that after wearing the ring for a month, the holder can freely switch between human and cat forms, which he considers quite convenient. He then reads that in a certain year, a doctor let out a fanatical shout after seeing the cattail ring and established the alien god cult. He wonders about the alien god cult and decides there should also be data regarding this organization. Jang reads that after God died, the earth cracked and major borderlands appeared from the fissures. Through deep exploration, people found tools capable of communicating with alien gods. Groups that gathered due to a desire for power and prayed to these gods became known as alien god cults, while those who received gifts from these alien deities are called recipients. Jang realizes that he finally understands what recipient means. He flips the page and reads that 200 years ago, an alien god cult named the Lion Sage Sect desired to make contact with the god Bastet. However, the god never responded. This continued until a believer obtained God 1391 and turned into a cat, finally obtaining the goddess's blessing. However, the object that received the blessing was not the believer, but the cattail ring itself, and from that point on, the relic possessed even more mysterious power. As the fusion progress deepens, the wearer will begin to possess Bastet's power until they turn into the true Bastet. Jang realizes that because of this, the Lion Sage Sect will kill the current holder of the cattail ring at all costs to retrieve it. In other words, they will kill Nair. He finally understands why Nair had so strongly insisted he visit the dojo back then. Jang realizes that if he had not managed to become more powerful in such a brief period, both he and Nair likely would have perished. He turns the page of the ancient book and begins reading about the fusion conditions for God 1391 cattail ring. The initial fusion requires intense emotional stimulation, after which the wearer must continuously trigger that same emotion to advance the fusion progress. He closes his eyes and thinks about intense emotional stimulation. He remembers them taking a bath together and visualizing her in her half-human, half-cat form. He shakes his head to drive away the vivid memories of their previous encounter. The images presented by his visualization ability are far too realistic. A grim expression settles on his face as he contemplates that if Nair wants to become human again, they might have to repeat such actions frequently. He wonders how he can possibly explain this requirement to her. He continues reading and notes that God 1391 is stated to have no side effects, as the relic only provides divine authority. He observes that the only real concern is the Lion Saint sect, and although that detail briefly alarms him, he reflects that no side effects is good news. He turns to the next page, hoping to discover the specific powers of Bastet and how to remove the ring, but he finds no answers to these crucial questions. He realizes that the authority of C-class